Welcome to the show, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. If you observed Passover, I hope it was a good one. I made a beautiful matzah ball soup from scratch, and these were some of the best balls anyone's ever made, I have to tell you. And it came out beautifully, and I hope you had a good as good a time as I did making the soup. And speaking of which, there is a news connection to this. It just so happened that over Passover weekend, someone set fire to the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, where Governor Josh Shapiro, his wife, their kids were asleep after observing Passover. And this fire was set, we believe, with the intent of killing them. That's right. They were jolted awake at 2 a.m. by state police pounding on the doors. The house was burning. The arsonist had jumped the fence, entered the property, and used a homemade device to set the fire. This individual was inside the property for just about a minute. That was long enough to cause pretty serious damage and force an emergency evacuation of the sitting governor's family in the middle of the night. This is an act of criminality. This is potentially an act of terror. This is apparently anti-Semitic, but we still don't know the exact particulars of everything. What we know is that Governor Shapiro had hosted a Passover Seder in the mansion the night before. We know that he's Pennsylvania's first Jewish governor. We know that the country is in this climate of rising anti-Semitism and political violence and extremist rhetoric. And so the question here doesn't seem to be, was this politically motivated? Of course, it was politically motivated. The question is, how close are we to a society where setting a governor's house on fire feels more like a protest than terrorism? Now, it hasn't yet been designated terrorism per se. And at the end of the day, it's sort of, in a way, a semantic, although also consequential distinction. But philosophically, this is where we sometimes start to see liberal democracy decay. You know, in all of our discussions that we've been having on the show about how societies fail, how democracies fail, and how you always think that there will never be a collapse, but then the collapse starts. It's rarely a constitutional change that signals the decay of liberal democracy, but it's more often when people stop believing in peaceful dissent and they quite literally reach for the lighters and the accelerants like gasoline and Molotov cocktails, etc. So we're still gathering details, and I think Governor Josh Shapiro maybe said it best, which is, no one will deter me or my family or any Pennsylvanian from celebrating their faith openly and proudly. And I know that there are many in my audience who are not religious. I am not religious. I consider myself ethnically Jewish, culturally Jewish, culinarily Jewish, as the matzah balls are a testament to. But it doesn't matter, because we do have, as a principle here in the United States, on the one hand, separation of church and state. Josh Shapiro should not use, cannot use his personal religious beliefs to justify legislation. And this is why when we have the, debates about abortion and we hear from these right-wing Christian members of Congress that the Bible tells me, therefore it should be illegal. No, 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 no. But at the same time, we respect people's choices when it comes to what they believe or celebrate or observe, and that we don't use that as a basis for which to launch violence. And that is what appears to have happened here. So they tried to burn the governor's house down, and we'd better not pretend that this is just another local crime story. Oh, someone broke into a parked car and stole a laptop that was sitting there, and someone set a fire to a house. No, of course we know that this is much, much more. And I am still waiting for condemnation of this from some of the typical corners of the online Comment, O Sphere. We'll follow up on it. After researching, writing, refining, The Echo Machine, my book, is finally out. This is not just a book about how American politics got so broken. It's also about what's happening right now and what we can still do to stop things from getting worse. Trump's been back in power. The results have been even more catastrophic than many feared, with targeting of political opponents and gutting democratic institutions, laying the groundwork to even further consolidate power. But the thing is that none of this is inevitable. The same forces that brought us here can be countered if we understand how they work and what to do about them. And that's what the Echo Machine is all about. Some say that without corporate media backing, books like this can't succeed. I think we can prove them wrong. You can get the Echo Machine right now at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, or by calling any local bookstore and asking them to order it. This book is more important than ever. If you care about what happens next, and I do, check out the Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo.